to see.
So you got a haircut just for this, huh?
Hey, we got a haircut, took a shower. The only
That
thing
makes
I'm
it feel.
the only thing I'm missing is pants. But you can't see me from the waist down.
That's something we have in common. All right, here we go. All right, welcome to REI 101. This is the podcast that teaches you how to get in the game and how to start strong and finish strong and keep going strong. We have conversations about all the real estate investing, especially here in Houston. And I've got one of my good friends, somebody who's been very, very patient with me over the years. He would probably say the same thing about me. Edric, Hane. Hey, brother. Thanks for filling in. Alberto is, I'm sure he's probably running. He couldn't come because he was running. That's what he does. So, Edric, appreciate you jumping in, and I've kind of wanted to. We probably should interview you because you have a really good story about how you got started in real estate, but that's not. And we could talk about that a little bit today if you like.
It's up to you. Your show, buddy.
It's my show. It's our show. This is the show of the people right here. So, did you have fun at happy hour Thursday?
Of course, always a blast.
We're
Always
always
good to meet everybody and see what everybody's up to and get new insights. There's always nuggets of something you can take away.
That's good, man. And that's what it's all about, man. It's about connecting people together, learning from each other. I would be a fool if I said I was the source of knowledge or truth. I learn just as much from everybody else as well. I probably learn a lot more from other people than I teach, but that's part of what we do. We teach and try to help each other out. So So I want to talk today because what we want to hit is property management and leasing, and there's so much that we can talk about in regards to that. We shot episode 50 on Thursday, me and Alberto, and we had some pretty gnarly audio problems, so we had to scratch that episode. We're going to start fresh with episode 51, and I wanted to ask you, Edric, going back to the early days, what was what was the trigger? What was the catalyst that made you go from aspiring investor to investor? If you want to take us back to maybe your first property or how you came up upon that deal, what was that like at that time?
It was interesting. So you talked about maybe sharing some of my backstory, so that's going to be included in this answer. Uh, I'd always seen my stepdad, my uncles, my grandfathers all do real estate, all have rental properties. So
Hmm.
I grew up just kind of thinking that was the norm. Like that's what you do. Like that's how you build wealth. And so when I bought my first house in Houston, I'd already gone in with a preconceived notion I'm going to move out of this house in a couple years. I'm going to rent this house out. I already had my game plan set, so that's what I did. I bought my first house here in Clear Lake. In a couple years, I
And that
moved
was your
down.
primary residence, right? That was your homestead.
That was my home
Okay.
primary residence. That was my homestead. And then I found a deal in a few neighborhoods over Sagemont area. I bought a house real cheap, moved into that, and rented out my primary residence. And so lived in the next house for about 8 months and fixed it up mostly myself. Had a contractor
Hmm.
do a few things. Stayed in that one 8 months. That was the shortest time frame. Usually I stay 2 years to avoid capital gains, but that one was in and out in 8 months, living there, and then moved back to Clear Lake and just kept that ball
So
rolling.
you bought your first house,
Mhm.
bought a second house, moved into the second house, rented out the first house, rehabbed the second house, and then then sold the second house and moved back into the first house.
Nope, bought a third house, moved to a third, kept the first house, moved into a third house, did the same thing, lived in it, got it up with the GC just so it's livable, and moved in and did the rest of the work myself over the next year to 2 years, avoid capital gains of 2 years. Bam, sold that one, moved out of that one, and then as I was moving every 2 years, I was acquiring other properties on the side
Yeah.
for flips and some buy and holds. I was doing a combination of both. So over the years, it's like one of each every 6 months to a year, one flip and one rental.
You bring up such an interesting strategy because that was a strategy that I became very aware of back in like the early 2000s, early 2010s, before I was actually a real estate agent. We knew people that were buying dilapidated properties and they were actually moving into them. I was calling that house hacking for a while. Maybe that's like a form of house hack. Did you have a name for that strategy? You're living in the house, you're rehabbing it, and then, 2 years later or so, you sell it for a huge profit.
Don't necessarily have a name for it, but I mean, just you can build wealth fast doing that, but you have to have some thick skin to be able to move every 2 years to
Yeah.
avoid capital gains and move down even below what your means are. So, because some of the houses I moved down big time in terms of neighborhood or wherever I was living or size of the house or whatever. And so I constantly did that and bought bigger houses. Only went up really when the market was in a position where it was buyers, like it was a
Hmm.
buyer's market. So I bought cheaper houses, 200 or so, and by the time I was moving out in 2 years, they were worth 300 plus. So you can build some fast equity just
Yeah.
house jumping every 2 years.
Yeah, because you're not paying a mortgage on your primary house, or in your case, if you are, it's being covered by a renter.
Yes. So between the combination of renter and moving, I mean, I had my first house or no mortgage by the third house I purchased, and then I've never had a mortgage since.
Oh wow. So you got out, so you got away from the debt and you ended up being debt free in that
Debt
process.
free, 100% debt free.
Very
Like
interesting.
cars, house, No credit cards. I don't carry a credit card debt, period. But yeah, it launched me doing that
Well, that's
strategy.
very, so was it always single family homes at the time? And what was it, about every 2 years you were moving?
Yes. Three twos, single family homes, perfect sweet spot. That was the niche. That's your common majority of people. And they were mostly in professional, still entry grade homes to the professional neighborhoods, I guess per se is how you would say that with
Yeah.
good schools. So
Yeah.
very sweet niche spot.
Yeah. So you're able to target that spot right there. So
Yes.
how many houses did you do in those early days? Like what was like was it just like one every 2 years or was it more than that?
No, so in between staying in the house for 2 years, I was still flipping one or two a year,
Okay.
maybe not one a year, and then having a rental of one a year, and then build that rental up, do some fixes and fix it up as well, and then flip it whenever the time seemed right to
So
flip it.
you were doing a combination of flipping and buying and holding, and you were using that the profit from your flips to for your buy and holds. So
Yes.
you were able to scale quickly with that.
Yes, and whatever the market dictated. So if it was a buyer's market, I'd go in and buy. If it was a seller's market, I mean, so it depended on whether it was good buy or hold or a good flip, depending on the
Yeah.
work that needed to be done.
Well, cool. Hey, if you are on the call, we are live on Zoom. We're live on Facebook, but feel free. I put a link to the Zoom meeting in Facebook. Jump in, get involved, ask some questions because we're gonna really hit what happens. And Edric is probably the expert in this, but what happens when we start scaling to the point and you have to manage all that. So we want to get into that first rental. Go back to house number one. You buy house number two, you move into house number two. What is your approach at that time? And if you could go back to from what you know now, like how would you approach managing that property differently back then at that point in time?
I'm not sure I would do much differently. I'd done all my homework and research, and I'd seen other people going in, so I understood what contracts look like. I
Hmm.
understood having all the details, deposits, running credit check, background check, all your normal stuff, things like that. Now, I will say, and I don't know if I came up with this myself. If y'all think it's a good idea, then I came up with it myself. But I would put it in the contract. I would get a warranty on the house and put in the contract that the renter is actually responsible for the first $60 of every repair.
Okay.
That would take care of the warranty company, like because every time you call them, they're going to charge you $60 to
You're
have
talking about a warranty, like a new when you
a
buy a
warranty.
house, not
Yeah,
insurance, correct?
no, not insurance, a warranty on the house. So they come out and fix things. And that really, if you have a renter, that cuts down the amount of phone calls that you get from your renter and that deters it to the warranty. Now, that was just something I did to help manage. You're talking about manage the property. That cut down on like pesky phone, like my drain's clogged, stuff like that. Well, go,
Yeah.
you know, call this or do it yourself
Yeah.
type mentality. But other than that, I mean, it was pretty easy to manage just a couple properties each time. I only had like two or three at any one given moment.
I think it's those little things that I think there's maybe like a little bit of a stigma when it comes to how people perceive the real estate investing world that they are unclocking toilets in the middle of the night. That's the classic objection to I don't want to buy real estate properties because I don't want to unclog toilets in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
But we found that that's not, I mean, definitely with Albert, sounds like the same with you in my experience and with many of my clients' experiences. That's simply not true as long as you put it in the contract, having that minimum trip charge, the minimum repair charge, or in your case, charging them $60 for every repair. When they know that's in the, did you ever feel like you had a client that was like just just building a list of repairs so they can do them all at one time and save on the money?
No, I didn't come across that. Now, and obviously the larger repairs are out of that realm, like, roof and if there was something major, but never had any of that. But no, I didn't see anybody stockpiling ammunition to come at me all, all at once. No.
Very cool. Very interesting. So the warranty strategy, that one's a new one for me. So talk that was that warranty just on houses you bought or were you going and buying new warranty policies on houses you've already owned, or what was
No,
your approach to
no,
that?
just the rentals only. And once again, just to cut down the phone calls, just to have that layer, that extra wall, I guess you could say, for the tenants to try to get through before they reach me, and just let them solve their own. Or they have this number to call, and they can take care of it themselves.
Oh, so you gave them the number to the warranty company?
Yeah, so here's your number to call.
Oh,
And when they come out, you can pay them directly $60.
I never would have thought of doing that.
Like I said,
Yeah, that's
if it's brilliant, I came up with it myself. If everybody's doing it, then I found it on the internet. No.
oh yeah. I don't think you came up with that idea. That's too good of an idea for you, man.
Oh, thanks. This is my
No, that
first
is it. That
first
is
and
a
last of the podcast.
well, okay, so let's talk about home warranty companies because we certainly do not have any home warranty reps on this call because you were not invited. I'm just kidding. You are invited. Um, as an agent, in my experience, uh, whether or not a home warranty company is going to come through when it comes to a necessary repair, and I think a lot of people agree on this, it's the flip of a coin with
Mhm.
most home warranty companies. Like we've had lots of cases where new homeowners and investors had some type of critical repair that needed immediate attention, and the home warranty company, Edric, they're notorious, and maybe your experience was different, but they're notorious for being slow to respond. They usually send out the cheapest contractor that does the worst job, or they find a way to not do the job. What was what was your experience when you had a tenant call a home warranty company? Like, how did that play out most of the time with your tenants?
It was mostly fine. The home warranty company, their job, just like anybody else, that they want to keep the money. Their job is to make money and not pay out any repairs. So they're going to cut any corners they possibly can with the cheapest guys. And most of the times they would fix it, probably 90, 95%. And it would be a shortcut. Replace a capacitor on AC. Great. We don't have to replace the whole AC, even though AC is over 10 years old. But most of the time it would get done. There was really only one instance where the toilet had an issue and the tenant called and the warranty company said, came out and they said, well, we can't fix it because it's a metal flange in a residential house. And I said, okay. They're like, well, that's a commercial thing. We don't do commercial. I'm like, well,
Oh,
it's still
give
in
me
a
a break.
house and you're still, they tried to wiggle out of it and they knew they were going to have to take like a saw and cut that metal flange out. Like it was going to be a lot of work. And they're like, and they tried to wiggle out of it. And I just went through the contract and there was like, make sure it says this, unforeseen issues. Like any, we will cover any unknowable, unforeseen issues. So I had to go down into the detail of that writing and point it out to them. They escalated up to their managers. Everything was fixed. So yes, it's not clean or fine every single time. You do have to haggle and struggle with communication with the warranty companies, but if you can read the contracts well and point out the verbiage and use it against them, you can win.
That's why it's important if you're going to buy a home warranty or anything, read the fine print,
Yes.
read the contracts.
They're not all the same.
They're not all the same. So let's dive into more about property management. So we asked a question on Wednesday. The question was, what do you think matters more? And if you're on the chat, you want to answer, you can uh text your answer on the chat. What do you think matters more? A, buying right, or B, managing right? What matters more, buying right or managing right? Edric, what's your thoughts on that?
Do I have to pick one over the other?
If it's 50-50 or 60-40 or 70-30.
It, it's about 50. I would say buying right. You can recover from managing wrong a little bit,
Hmm.
but if you buy wrong, that is much more difficult to
Yeah.
recover from.
Yeah, I think most people say buying right, but not by much. Like managing right still
Correct. I
matters. We take a lot of listings, Checkmate Real Estate. And a lot of those listings um, are decent. I would say they're decent properties, or they have the potential to be pretty lucrative. But when they're not being managed right, especially on the commercial side, when you have multi-tenants, whether it be like multifamily or retail family, not tracking those financials are really hurting a lot of sellers right now. So, managing, to me, managing is not just um, taking care of your clients, because we believe that being a landlord or being a property owner, our tenants are customers, and we believe in a high level of customer service, right? But also, management is not just taking care of your customers; it's also tracking the numbers, tracking your expenses, keeping keeping track of you know all the repairs. How many sellers do we have? And we ask them, okay, give me your scope of work over the last 2 years, and they're like, they don't really know, or they don't know how much they spent on repairs, kind of tracking that. So you would say buying a little bit more than managing, you can recover from poor management, but a bad deal takes a lot longer to recover from, right?
Yes, and along that side of management, if people are having a hard time keeping track of, like, let's say expenses, that's an easy one. Just have a dedicated credit card. That's what I do, is just for expenses. You can
Yeah.
even one per property
Yeah.
address if you want. I just have one and I can segregate them there, but just have a dedicated expense card. That way it's easily tracked by the credit card company and you can just export it.
Yeah, yeah. Or what I do is I have a separate checking account for that property, and I have
Perfect.
it has its own debit card, its own checkbook, and everything.
Same
Um,
concept.
so let's talk about some negative landlord experiences. Going back, what what contributed probably to more, and it sounds like you probably had a good system, and we can come back around to the systems and processes. But negative experiences, can you think back on a time where you had a negative experience with a tenant, and where did things kind of go wrong in your opinion?
I don't I don't have any negative experiences because I faulted or I failed on anything. The only one of the negative experiences was just I found one of my tenants smoking crack in the house and like it's like, okay, well, you can leave willingly or I can put an eviction on your record and we can draw this out. And I said you have until this weekend to decide. It's like, and they were out that weekend.
Was the tenant compliant?
Yeah, they left. They didn't want an eviction on the record.
Did you okay, so did you have something in writing that gave you the power to evict them for that, or was it just because they were breaking the law, or because
They're breaking they're breaking the law, so I could flex a little bit there, you
yeah,
know, to kind of push or kind of bullnose them out per
okay.
se.
So here's a question everybody's wondering. How did you catch your tenant smoking crack in the bathroom?
So first of all, it was the kitchen, and
Oh, even better. With the
nothing enough.
windows open?
Yeah, just telltale signs. I've just seen it before from experience, and so I knew what the signs were, so I called them out.
Okay, so you would have seen evidence of it because you were there.
Yes.
So
I happen to be there uh checking on something totally else random, which is advisable. Find something to go check on if you haven't been there in a while, like even the air filters.
air
Hey,
filtering.
I'd like to go and do a checkup and replace the air filter, something. And I
Yeah.
was looking for something else totally different, but I saw all the evidence right there on the kitchen counter of what they were doing.
The air filters is such an easy way to get inside a unit. I'm going to
Yes.
change the air filters, and yeah, I worked with a guy one day when I was in my early 20s, and he was a property manager in an apartment complex, and I helped him change the air filters on about 100 units all in one day. So it everything was fine. Everything was fine. A couple of messy units, but there's a lot of people that keep them real clean, so that's always nice.
And document everything. Take pictures.
Take pictures. Yeah, it's your house. You can absolutely do that.
Mhm.
So looking back at that situation, did you feel at that time there was something you could have done previously to get ahead of that, or just you're just
No, I had no idea they were There was no signs beforehand that they were going to do that, so just handled it as it came up.
Yeah, yeah. So the next question I came to was, would you rather deal with problems daily or build systems all at one time? This answer should be obvious, but talk about it a little bit.
Deal with problems daily, or what was
Or build out your systems all at one time and have the systems in place.
anything to curb having to deal with the problems? Yeah, definitely have systems in place.
So you had some systems. So the home warranty, that's a great idea. I hadn't heard about it. Were there any type of systems, the air filters, what other processes did you start off, did you have or that you've developed over the years of doing this that make a big difference and make your job as a property manager? Because you still to this day you manage all your properties yourself, am I right?
Correct. This is
Yeah.
correct. I had a property manager.
So how do you stay sane?
Uh, Being polite, like when the tenants send the rent, say thank you with an exclamation point. Just one exclamation point, not more
Just
than
one
one.
ex
Just
Okay.
one. That's
More than
key.
one is crazy. Don't do
Yes,
that.
exactly. Don't do that. But really, that's it. The air filter is on, but just being polite to them. That way, they still know you are there. You're not a silent landlord that's just
Yeah.
off distance somewhere.
Okay, let's go into leasing fundamentals. Marketing. Talk about marketing strategies, marketing tactics. Also pricing. Like how much does pricing the property right when it comes to listing it for lease? How much of an impact does that have on the market in your opinion?
A lot. I mean, we priced ours market. Actually, I was around $25 below just because in the beginning I was eager and I wanted to
Hmm.
make sure I had, you know, I'd rather have $25 less a month and get a tenant in there, but this is just me and get someone in there quick. Now, over time, I've gotten back up to the either market rate or slightly above
Yeah.
uh, as time progressed. And in the beginning, I was only getting my own tenants, putting out signs by myself. Here recently, I've used you on several occasions to get tenants in due to time constraints and not wanting to
Yeah.
do the groundwork anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That number, the $25,
Hmm.
if you put a tenant in there, if that gets you a tenant right away as opposed to 30 days, and your rent's like $1,500 a rent,
Yeah,
that $25 over the course of a year is only $350, right?
correct.
No, $300. It's not even. It's just $300. Like people think, they want to wait until they get that full 1,500 or 1,550, but if it's just $25 less, it really is not that big of a difference compared to a full month of vacancy.
Correct.
So being aggressive in the pricing is going to give you an a, a huge advantage because for many tenants, the difference between 1,500 and 1,475
1475.
can be a much bigger deal to them than it is to you, right? So
Correct. Yeah, they're thinking about it from their perspective and their income and what they're making. That adds up to them a lot. But what adds up to you even more is 1 month of no money coming in.
what are you looking for when you screen tenants? What are like the most important things and what are the things you can slide on?
The obvious ones like the background check and credit check. Um, I The background check, I can let things slide a little bit depending on what it is and how, like right now, I have someone who wants to rent. He's got something from 6 years ago.
Hmm.
Uh, and everything's good, everything, and it was minor. So the next step is I'm going to talk to him. This has all been through text and email. I'm going to talk to him and get a
Hmm.
feel. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to get a feel for your gut. And if you want that person in your place, and don't get so anxious and greedy to get someone in so fast. But there is a sense of urgency. But I mean, there was a couple in one of the first houses. The husband was a cop and the wife was a realtor.
Yeah.
Everything looked fine on paper, but when I interviewed them, I did not feel good. And so I told them no, for
Wow.
different reasons, and it just I went with my gut on that one, and it paid off, and I got a great tenant right after them.
Yeah, you can't just judge somebody just because they have like a school teacher or a cop or somebody that's an admirable position in society. That still is not the end of the story right there.
Correct, and on the subject of bad credit, I had a tenant. She made good money, 3x easy times the
Hmm.
rent. Good job. Went through a divorce. She was in a hard situation. I said, "Look, we'll do 3 times deposit," and I did
Yeah,
that for 2 reasons. One, to maybe scare her off. Oh, I can't do that. Or two, if she's really legitimate and really,
yeah,
if they want it, they want it. She did it 3 times the deposit. Best tenant I've ever had. That stayed in the
yeah.
house 3, 4 years, I think.
That's good. That's a good sign if they're able to come up with that. So it's when they're being like, "Oh, can I pay you next week?" Like that's just the beginning of problems. So the basic checklist that we go through is you got to be willing to submit a background check. If you're not, that's the end of the conversation right there. And believe it or not, there are people that on our we use a Google form for people that are interested. Like, go ahead and fill this form out, and if everything looks good, we'll proceed. And one of the questions are you willing to submit a $40 background check? And we use My Smart Move for background checks. And believe it or not, probably one out of every four applicants that come in on our lease listings will select no. Like, why did you even do the application? They select no. There's no chance we're going to move forward with you if you're not going to check yes on. Makes our job easier. So the background check is one. What we're looking for, nobody's perfect. Don't look at my criminal history. You'll see a lot of speeding tickets, but we're looking for violent felonies in possession with the intent to sell. That usually gets us pretty close. That eliminates a lot of issues. Evictions, most of the time, we don't consider somebody with an eviction within 7 years, especially if there's frequent evictions. There have been, like you said, there's sometimes there are exceptions to that, and they'll let you know, like a single mom who's going through a really bad divorce and they couldn't afford the rent at expensive house because the husband left him, and there's certain stories, and yeah, if they're able to, like you said, they got to show that they can cover that. If they're able to increase the deposit, that might help the landlord or the owner um, be more open-minded about considering that tenant. And then the income, that's that's a non-negotiable in mine. If you don't make at least three times the income, you're probably having a hard time putting food on the table, and rent's not going to be your top priority. So we'll help them. If they need help, we'll try to help them find something that's more within their budget. But most of the time, they'll just go on their way. Anything else on that with criteria on that checkbox?
No, that's pretty much it. You summed it up.
I like how you get on the phone, you have a conversation with them. You're setting some expectations. What are some of the points that you try to make when you have that first, either on phone or, how often do you meet face to face with new tenants before they move into the house?
Yeah, if they haven't gone through you directly, then I definitely meet face to face with them because even you can hear so much over the phone.
Hmm.
You can probably grab most of what you need over the phone, but when you meet someone face to face, there's a different guard either put up or let down
Yeah.
uh, on their side that helps you gauge even more. There's
Yeah.
nothing can stop that human element per
Yeah.
se, actually meeting someone, in my opinion.
You ever get face to face and then get a bad feeling and then change your mind?
The cop and his wife, yeah,
Yeah. So okay. So but you were able to change your mind before you agreed to anything, right?
correct.
Good. Good, good, good. Okay. So let's go. We got about 15 minutes left. I want to talk about the performance of a property. Um, so so there's a lot of elements because at the end of the day, you got to make a return on your investment. You got to beat the stock market. That's what I like to tell. Like your investment on a buy and hold on a rental property has to perform well. Um, One thing that you mentioned on Thursday, communication. Talk about how your communication lines look like. Are you on the phone chatting with them every week? Do you invite them over for dinner? Do you have a potluck, every other Sunday? Or do you just text only, don't ever call me? Like what is your rhythm of communication with your tenants?
I am not in this business to make new friends, so my tenants are not my friends. I am polite to them as if they were my friends, but once again, it is a business and it is transactional. So I'll still treat them with respect, but that the line is the boundaries have to be there.
Yeah,
You
very
need
good.
healthy boundaries so they don't think, oh, this is all buddy buddy. I mean, I even rent out one of my rooms in my house constantly. I have people come through one of the rooms in my house, and some of them will sit down and they want to, hey, let's go play pool, or hey, let's watch a movie. I'm like, I'm busy, like I'm good, and I'm very polite about it, and just kind of stiff arm them softly. Aside, it's like we don't have that type of relationship. You're renting a room, and I'm renting it to you.
I think the key word that you mentioned is boundaries,
Mm,
because friends ask for favors. So you don't
yeah.
you don't enter into that type of relationship, but they're customers, right? And so I feel like your approach is very honest and professional at the same time. And so um uh you got to have that boundary set up, but also you want to make sure that your clients are having a good experience. Um Plus, when you become friends with people, things can happen and things can get awkward, and you're just kind of limiting that. What about the turnover process? So we are in the month of April. May 1st comes and your tenant lets you know that they're going to be vacating the property. Talk about your process. Once you get that notice to vacate, how many days you have when you start marketing? Like how do you minimize the damage of vacancy?
As soon as I know, I'm marketing it like immediately. So, I mean, just for example, I had one of my tenants from my Aplex. They're moving out at the end of this month. They've been doing month to month over the past few, and so they're going to move out. But I already have a banner on the building with my phone number on it, and I have a few tenants that are already interested. So that one
Good.
is easy, but otherwise, yeah, I just put out the second I know, go put your marketing out.
How many days notice are they required to give you?
It's supposed to be 30
30.
on yeah, on mine.
Okay. Yeah. So Albert does 60. I guess it probably depends on the properties. Um, we talked about so let's stick with turnover for a second. So when they vacate, they got a deposit right there. You need to give them a deposit back. What what do you look for in the unit or in the house before you decide whether or not they get that deposit back? Like you understand what I'm asking? Like how do you like when do you keep somebody's deposit and when do you give it back to them?
So I do the same thing as if I was going in the unit for the first time, doing my own inspection of the unit. And so every house, every unit I do my own inspection besides hiring an inspector. Sometimes I don't even hire an inspector, I just do it myself and just go in and do the same thing. I check everything, holes in walls, scratches all over. You're gonna expect fresh paint, but maybe you can get away with cleaning the carpet. But otherwise, just your obvious stuff. Any of the drains clogged. You're gonna just see with your own eyes what needs to be fixed or repaired.
Yeah.
Changed. I've never really had an issue. There's only one issue, and in my contract it says you're not allowed to paint the walls. Period. And there was a lady from
That's on
California.
every property you have?
That's on every property.
No
You are
exception.
no exception. You are not allowed to paint the walls unless you can call me and ask. And if I agree, you can buy the paint, and it has to be done professionally. But this one lady, she moved here from California. that wasn't in her California contracts wherever she lived over there. And she just took the liberty to paint the house different colors all inside. And when she moved out, I was like, I have to keep your full deposit. And she goes, well, I had to explain. I was like, she goes, well, in California contract. I was like, well, this is in Texas and this is our
They
contract.
take out, they do things differently out there.
Yeah, and so I had to keep her deposit. She was upset. I said, but it's written in the contract, so I'm not springing anything on you that you didn't have available to you. You
Again,
should
read
have
the
asked.
contracts.
Yes.
Is there any other typical items that cost tenants their deposit in your experience other than paint?
Blinds.
Blinds?
Blinds. Yes.
They get
Like
torn up or
getting
they're
torn up.
broke?
Animals. Yes, animals.
Animals. Yeah.
Yeah, animals tear up the blinds, the carpets, the baseboards. So, I mean, sometimes the pet deposit doesn't cover just
Hmm.
your normal shampoo of floors. So that's where I'll start taking from the regular deposit.
Okay. What kind of animals are destroying these blinds? Because we see broken blinds all over the place. Are they large dogs or are they just frisky cats that are just jumping on the ceilings or maybe an iguana just climbing up the blinds?
Large dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that just
mostly
happens.
large.
Yeah.
So how do you handle what's your pet policy?
Usually not over, it's two pets, and we try to stay like 50 pounds or below. I think that's what's written in the contract.
Okay.
So I'm okay with, two dogs, 50 pounds and below.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Inside
Wrinkle
if they're
it.
if they're gonna stay inside.
Okay, so it's different if they stay outside.
Yeah, if they're outside,
Backyard.
I don't care what you have, just throw it out back.
Okay. Okay. I'll have to remember that. How are you collecting rents?
Uh, Currently Cash App on my multi-unit. Uh, the other one is also Cash App. Most of the time it's been Zelle or just
Yeah.
uh checks. People just send checks. When I
Okay.
first started, it was checks. I don't think anybody writes checks anymore.
Okay. And what about late policies? How does that work?
Late fee, I don't give a grace period. I figured if the rent's due on the first and you knew from last month it was due on the first, so there is no grace period. It's due on the first. After the first, it's $50 late for the very first day. And then after that, it's $25 a day. No excuses.
Have you when it gets too far, I'm sure you've probably had some tenants go 10 or 15 days late
Mhm.
on the rent. When does the E word come up? Eviction. You know, has that been something that you've had to deal with, or do you feel like you've been able to get ahead of that for the most part?
Uh, uh, 2 weeks is probably the longest I've gone with some tenants.
Wow, 2 weeks.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Now, I will say this is going to be a case by case basis. You have to
Hmm.
know your tenant. You have to know how much you can budge a little bit. And so, for example, this one tenant, I've had tenants constantly late. They're late every month. I know they're going to be late 3 or 4 days. Eh,
Hmm.
Great. I love those tenants. Pay the late fees. I'm getting an extra hundred
It's more
bucks
money in your pocket.
every month. I don't call and be like, hey, you're late. No, go ahead. Wait a couple more days. But I do have one. They're 2 weeks late, and I start getting a little antsy, and I will text, "Hey, you're about a week out." And they're like, "Yeah, we're getting it, we're getting." And you know what? For the past 3 months, they're a week to 2 weeks late every month,
Mm.
and they pay with the late fees every month. And so I bend my own rule a little bit for them because they have been paying the extra 2 weeks every month.
That's very interesting. So, what do you think? And good for you, never having to deal with an eviction. That's a that's a victory, especially with your experience. What do you think tenants are caring about more? Do you think that they're more concerned about the price or they're more concerned with the responsiveness from the landlord? Which one do you think matters to you? Because we've talked about repairs and requests, but at some point they're gonna have a maintenance issue. They're gonna need a response, or they're gonna have a question, or which one do you think matters the most?
I mean, everybody, price is going to be a big one for them to initially even see the unit. But then that first impression of the landlord is up upon me when I talk to them.
Hmm.
Uh, and for example, when I got this current 8 unit, I had to go introduce myself to all 8 tenants, get to know them, and I made it very clear from the very like just hit me up if you need anything. Like I made it very casual, friendly. Let me know, and so I got to know them pretty well over the first 2 or 3 weeks because there was a lot of phone calls. And that was
Okay. Was that all over the phone or in
it was
person
all
too?
it was mostly over the phone, but if I happened to be there fixing doing something else in 1 unit, and they all knew me by the second or third day, and so they saw me. They're like, "Hey, while you're here,
Okay.
um, we've been meaning to get this fixed, or I wanted to get this fixed, or whatever."
So
It was
first of all, if anybody doesn't realize, Edric just acquired his first multi-tenant property back in December and inherited 7 tenants in a vacancy, correct?
correct.
And so you got 7 people, they don't know you from Adam, and then they see this strange guy that they've never seen it before is just kind of tinkering with things around the property. And then you start making some friends real quick or start meeting people right away,
Oh yeah.
and they start asking questions. Did you, were there any surprises? And I'm hesitant to hear the answer because I was a part of this transaction, but I do need to know the answer to this. Were there any surprises? Did anybody bring, because you never complained to me, first of all, you never said that there was any, like, you're obviously still friends with me, so you're not mad at me about this purchase. So far, I'm
No,
assuming things are going pretty well. So,
things are
but
well.
did anybody like any awkward moments, any surprises, or did anybody say anything that was just like not what you wanted to hear?
There was nothing negative. It was just people were caught off guard, actually. I mean, nobody, like, someone were like, okay, who are you? What's going on? And so I had to constantly say, I'm the new landlord on the property. I just constantly had to introduce myself and
Hmm.
explain. They're like, okay, so we paid you now? I'm like, yes. So the first week was the awkward,
Yeah,
we're just now meeting to start dating type phase.
yeah,
But after the first few weeks and the few repairs that I did and got stuff done, it's been a lot smoother
good,
since then.
good. Yeah, and that is also common, especially with multi-family tenants. They don't ever know. They don't always know. Sometimes they figure it out, but
And I was expecting that, like expecting there'd be some awkwardness and things like that where I'm taking over the property. So I did make it a point to go down there constantly.
yeah.
Uh, I was driving 3 or 4 times a week. I wanted to make sure my presence was known. I am
Hmm.
not a distant landlord. I am watching you, type deal where they're seeing me out there, kind of even picking up the trash.
Yeah,
Like there's nothing beneath me. I'll go do it to kind of keep an eye and stuff
yeah.
like that. And so they knew, and then everybody got real comfortable real quick and knew I was present and knew I would answer the phone call or return their phone call if I couldn't answer it in a timely manner.
I found that landlords that pick up trash will have tenants that pick up trash. So if the landlord's taking pride in the cleanliness of the property, the tenants are going to adapt that as well. So very, very good. So things are going good with that property so far.
Yes, I need
So
another
good.
one like that, please.
Yeah, yeah, we're I got one for you right now.
Okay,
14 units. Get ready.
all right.
All right. If anybody has any questions for Edric and his journey in real estate investing, um, leave that in the chat box. Edric, other than another 8 unit like the one we just sold you, what's next? Because I know you're focusing on uh, auctions. Is auctions your main focus right now, or
Currently, the study of auctions and looking at the different auctions coming down the pipeline is my main focus right now. There can be huge wins in those when you see these houses selling at auctions for half the ARV or less. And there's huge cap, but you have to have the capital to go to the auction. You have to pay in cash in full,
yeah?
like on the spot.
We're gonna
And
get you on. We're gonna do another episode here in the next 6 or 12 weeks where we're just gonna focus on auctions. So we're really looking forward to learning more about that.
yeah, I would love to chime in on that. The other game changer for me is the DSCR loans, where you can go get a house, rehab the house with hard money, and get a renter in there and convert it over to a DSCR loan, where the DSCR is not based on how much you make, it's based on what you have in the property, the
It's the
tenant.
property. Yeah.
Yes, that one is huge, and I'm gonna start taking advantage of that more.
Yeah, that's available for commercial and residential, right?
Yes, it is. I already looked into it for the Aplex.
Good. Good. There you go. There's a financing option. All right. Well, that is it. We are up for time. Edric, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, other than commenting on these videos and coming to happy hour, um, how do you want people to get a hold of you? Because there's ways we can make a lot of money together, either by investing as partnerships. Um, Edric has done hard money loans, you know, you name it, or just talking about auctions. What do you got? How do we get in front of you?
You just shine the bat symbol up in the sky at
There
night,
you go.
and I'll show up. No, I don't mind giving out my phone number, my email to anybody that has any questions. And anybody can get a hold of me, obviously through you. So it does.
Perfect. Well, we'll make sure you get connected. Come out to happy hour. Edric's always there. Always a fun time. Uh, Thank you so much for filling in. Alberto I don't know what he's doing. He's probably running. That's the only thing he does. So, and working out. Um, have a good one. Thank you for being on. And again, this is Austin from Houston. This is Real Estate Investing 101, REI 101. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We just hit 180 subscribers, so we're on the road to 1,000. So invite somebody out to happy hour, invite them to be on the show, and save the Zoom link. It's the same Zoom link every Monday, 12:30, episode 51 in the books. Thanks, Edric. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.